Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for June 22nd, 2020, from 1 Samuel chapter 4, God's promises come true. God promised Eli, the priest, that he and his sons would die. Well, I know, not a good promise, but that's what the promise was. Let's pick it up from the previous chapter 3, verse 13. And I declare to him that I am about to punish his house forever for the iniquity that he knew, because his sons were blaspheming God, and he did not restrain them. Now, God is going to fulfill his promise. The people of Israel were in many conflicts with the Philistines. Verse 3. And when the people came to the camp, the elders of the Israel said, "Why has the Lord defeated us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord here from Shiloh, that it may come among us and save us from the power of our enemies." Now for the question, is it the ark of the covenant or faith and trust in God that saves and delivers? Notice what the people said. Why had the Lord defeated us today? When this happened to Joshua, Joshua answered that question by inquiring of the Lord. Would the people inquire of God? Well, if you think about Eli, the priest, and his sons, would you want them to inquire of the Lord for you, especially when they really didn't seem to believe or take the Lord extremely seriously, at least seriously enough to do what the Lord commanded them to do? The people did kind of know that these priests were not following what God had commanded, so they figured the next best thing was just to bring up the ark, that the ark would save and deliver them. Verse 4, so the people sent to Shiloh and brought from there the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, who is enthroned on the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. As soon as the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel gave a mighty shout, so that the earth resounded. The Philistines were afraid, for they said, "A god has come into the camp." And they said, "Woe to us, for nothing like this has happened before." The Philistines were correct to be afraid of the Almighty God, not afraid enough to join the people of God in worshiping the Almighty God, but then again, Eli and his own sons were not afraid enough to worship correctly the Almighty God and to do what God wanted them to do. So when the people of Israel came into conflict again, the battle with the Philistines defeated the people of Israel again. Verse 11, and the ark of God was captured, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, died. As soon as Eli heard the ark of the covenant was captured, he fell over backwards and died. Phinehas's wife also heard and died, giving birth to her son. But before she died, she named her son. Verse 21, and she named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel, because the ark of God has been captured, and because her father-in-law and her husband." The glory had not departed Israel, regardless what she thought. God takes sin seriously, and we should also. Why? Because sin separates us from God. The judgment of Eli, as he was the high priest, was to oversee all the sacrifices, yet he allowed his sons to misuse and abuse their position in service to the Almighty God. Like God wouldn't know? God knows. So God promised that the house of Eli would end, and a faithful priest would be raised up by God. That would be Samuel, who would be faithful and the people would soon see that God's glory is still there. Yes, God keeps his promises. We are delivered from sin, death, and the devil by the sacrifice of Jesus upon the cross. So we need to hang on to the promises of God. We hang on to Jesus. We take it seriously because Jesus brings life and life eternally. Join me again tomorrow as we hear about God's power through the captured ark. God's peace and many blessings be with you. Thank you for watching, and please take an opportunity to share this video with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for watching.